My god, they did it. They actually freaking did it. They made WoW great again. They did it. What's up, everybody? I don't think I've enjoyed an expansion this much since Cataclysm. I'm sorry, I don't think... I know I haven't enjoyed an expansion like this since Cataclysm. The last 4 years of WoW have been really interesting. I feel like after Cataclysm, I was getting off this... To me, like, through Wrath, WoW was still like this new MMO, and I was just doing max level content in WoW, even though I started in Burning Crusade. I've been playing WoW for about 9 years, since 2007, but I really only started playing it seriously in Wrath, and even more seriously in Cataclysm. But the problem is I didn't really finish Cataclysm. I kind of got burned out. And then, you know, I resubbed for Pandaria, and I just didn't like it. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think Pandaria is a bad expansion in particular. I think it added a lot of really interesting long-term content. The way we have pet battles, the way we have more battlegrounds from a large pool to choose from, more arenas. It really did help getting me back into PvP in the long run. But it's kind of a problem. Blizzard hasn't really pushed PvP for a long time. Well, up till recently now, which I'll talk about in a second. But Warlords of Draenor had this huge problem where it kind of just turned into WoW Facebook Simulator Farmville 2015-2016. It wasn't fun. Now, at first it was enjoyable with all the quests, but the problem is that instead of adding more quests, they just gave you more garrison missions, so which Legion's kind of adapting, but don't worry, it's not nearly as bad. So you would do these missions, you would send followers out, and it would be on a timer, and then you wait for them to get back, and you spend resources, they come back, and you get rewards. The problem is that all the rewards, all the cool stuff, was through the garrison system. Mission orders. So they would go out, get you the stuff, and then you just do it over and over again. Your game started in the garrison, you logged out in your garrison, and you would repeat that same thing. Player housing has always been a requested feature in pretty much any MMO. Everyone wants player housing. They want something, like a piece of something that they can call their own. But Draenor, garrisons, it just went too far. You were just sitting there most of the time because, hey, you can farm all your resources there. Hey, you can send out, you can get all kinds of, you know, stuff for your artifact. Your legendary weapon. You can do, basically, like, you can get the pieces for your legendary weapon from your garrison. You couldn't get all of them, but you get most of them, so why would you ever leave? Hell, you can even queue for it with LFG and stuff. You don't even need to leave your garrison at all. So, they kind of turned it around here. So for starters, there's a companion app. Yeah, I know, right? There wasn't a companion app for Draenor, but there's one for here. What a shock. Blizzard, once again, showing their incompetence. So you notice that there's a lot less missions, right? I've only gotten 5 here, and like I can't even do 2 of these. There's this resource requirement. You actually have a lot less resources, so you have fewer missions to do. And this is nice because it feels like it's just a little tiny extension. Like, I do miss the player housing idea and how far they went with that in Draenor, in Warlords of Draenor, all credit to them. But by not having to go back here all the time, it is kind of nice. And, you know, if you come back here, you pop in every now and then. There's some quests here that you can pick up. Some dailies you can do, you know, you get your rewards from doing this, but the majority of all the cool stuff is not in your class hall. I mean, there is some cool stuff, like there's some toy items, I think, but the majority of those items are found from doing quests. Now, before I get, I can't talk today. Before I get onto the quest system, which is very well done here, I will say, well, let's talk about PvP, but I will say first, that I think the questing in this expansion, it's not as good as Cataclysm to me, but it's still very good. I feel like every expansion added something really new to the table. Burning Crusade was like the first major expansion, right? Then you have Wrath, and that added vehicle combat, it added a whole bunch of new scenarios, and made the game a little bit more cinematic. Cataclysm really made it more cinematic, adding a few more cutscenes here and there, more script events, more voice acting. And then it completely overhauled the mechanics at DirectX, I don't know if it's 10 or 11, I'm pretty sure it was 11. 11 support made the graphics a lot better. Made it run better. And then, you know, Pandaria, PvP, Draenor, player housing, collection system, which is god tier. Thank God for that. Like, the ability to store all this. So nice. Even though Wrath had this system. But, for the mounts, and I believe the pets too. But Legion isn't really anything super new. But I think it's improving a lot of the things that WoW has had a problem for years. So let's talk about PvP really quick. If I could even get to it. There's so much now, I don't even... God, I'm an idiot. It's in Talents, sorry. Oh, jeez. Okay. So, if you played Warlock before, you might notice some of these look kind of familiar. Curse of Weakness. Curse of Tongues, yeah. So, these are PvP-specific abilities that are only unlocked when you hit 110. And as you do Battlegrounds... Now, Battlegrounds and Arenas, they award points, but they aren't used into currency. So there's no more PvP gear, that's completely gone. You don't have resilience anymore or anything like that. Everything's scaled now. So yeah, your PvE gear scales. And what's cool on top of that too is that you get PvP specific spells. So some of these spells... What was always a problem in WoW is there was an unbalance between PvP and PvE. Like you had... like let's say in like Wrath, like Paladins were overpowered in both PvP and PvE, whereas some other classes were like really powerful in PvP, but just weak as hell in PvE. It was always an issue with balance. Some classes would be generally broken, some classes would be generally underpowered in both areas. But now, it seems like they're balancing that in a better way. So you don't have PvP gear anymore, which didn't really affect balance too much, although some people would find it annoying that, why is this guy like so much more powerful than me? Oh yeah, because he grinded in PvP for months and getting all this cool gear, and I have only PvE gear. So that's changed, so now it's item scale. It scales by item level, which I think was a thing in Warlords of Draenor, but it's a little bit different now. But you get these PvP exclusive abilities. So, Curse of Tongues. I haven't seen this in years. Focus the target to speak in demonic. Increases the casting time of all spells by 30% for 10 seconds. Could be very powerful in PvE, but it's restricted only to PvP. My guess? Balancing. The Insignia of Alliance and Insignia of the Horde, that was removed so that you just have this spell now that removes all movement and parrying effects, which is cool. When you level up, you level up by, you know, just getting, you know, winning or participating in arenas or battlegrounds. You can get artifact power, you can get more spells, like, say, at level 6, so unlock Essence Strain. But what's also really cool is these account-bound tokens. Now, yes, there's still PvP gear in the game, but it's really cosmetic for the new Heirloom system. So when you win, like, a battleground, you get a Mark of Honor, and you can spend that on PvP gear. So, you know, just for the cosmetic aspect. Because, you know, some of that PvP gear, it's still pretty cool. Now, all that gear, by the way, if you go to collections, you might have seen it earlier, in appearances, if you've equipped a piece of gear, or a weapon, I think if you own the piece of gear, or if you equipped a weapon, it's one of the two. It's like a little different rule for... Weapons and, clothing have, like, different rule sets for how you, put them into your book. Basically, all these I've unlocked. Like, I can go to Transmogrifier, and I can use these at any time. Doesn't matter if they're, like, even in my bank at this moment. Because some of these aren't. Some of these I got rid of a long time ago. But hey, I can use them with my current gear, which is really cool. Always liked, I think this is Burning Crusade era gear. This is, I think this was Tier 4. I love the Tier 4 Warlock gear. It was just really nice. But anyway, so yeah, PvP overall has been pretty much overhauled from the ground up. It's a lot better now, and it's a lot more fun, too. I don't feel like any class in particular right now is overbalanced. I'm also trying to get used to the new meta. They've really changed how a lot of classes play. I'm walking around too much. Let me get to the flight pad so we can start some quests or just explore a little bit. But yeah, I love PvP again. I think it's a lot of fun. It's still a problem that there's only 2 arenas. I was actually mistaken when I was commenting a few months ago. There is actual new PvP content. It's just, there's only like 2 new arenas. That's it. I think Ashran scaled as well. I haven't tried it yet because I hate Ashran. Let's start over here. So the new areas, Check out this new zoom in function. Ooh. So the new areas are actually really nice. You can start in any area you choose once you hit, I think it's like level 98 or level 100, one of the two. And you can just, and it's everything's scaling. So, you know, hey, you start in Azuna, you get to 107, you go over here, it's 107. It's really nice. The dungeons also kind of scale too. It's weird how that works though. I think it's like some kind of average party level. But I gotta say, the questing is a bit better than Warlords. It's not as good as Cataclysm, but it's still a lot of fun. There's a lot of different types of quests. You have, you know, you have your main quests, which are, like, you know, per area. You'll have, like, one main storyline. And then you have some side quests that you can do near those main quests. Then you can have, like, the side story quests, which don't affect the main quest, but, like, they're, like, in bigger areas. Like, you know, the Faranar, like, was one, I think that was a main quest. No, was it? I can't remember. No, sorry, right over here. This was, like, part of a main quest, and, like, some of it touched over here, but there was a lot of, story areas over, I think, in the Oceanus Cove. Yeah, over here. Yeah, the Academy and, like, this whole area right here, that was one big main quest. But there was, like, a side quest right here, like this, optional story area. And it was pretty fun. You know, there's a lot more voice acting around, but the problem is it's just not... I still feel like there should be more, especially considering the budget of these expansions. Music for each area is good, and this area, by the way, Val Shara, I believe it's called. Yeah. Basically designed to be like the Emerald Dream. Absolutely gorgeous area. They really did a good one here with the terrain. And even areas like High Mountain, a lot of people kind of crap on. High Mountain is actually really nice. There's a lot of, like in the distance, you can always see stuff. Like here, it's kind of blocked by trees, but High Mountain is actually really gorgeous when you look off in the distance or up in the sky. And like you see these giant mountains that you can actually climb up. And I think it's actually the highest point in the game that you're allowed to go up to. Like, some areas you can glitch up to, but it's really cool just to be, like, at the lowest point and then scale all the way up this giant mountain and then just look back down where you were. It seems like a little thing, right? It seems like, you know, that should be what expected of a game, but, to be good. But it's just, it's surprising that even after 9 years, I'm still impressed with WoW. Now, one of the big problems I have with the expansion is the reuse of music. So, you're noticing this is the Night Elf, Nordressel, I can't remember the name. And then it'll change here. I'll let you have a listen. It's kind of changing around here. I think some of this might be Hyjal. I don't know, though. It's a little annoying. Now, I would get that, you know, they don't want to have one theme throughout the entire map. But, come on, guys, it would be nice. One of the problems I also had was, in Stormheim, when I was on this gunship battle, there was no music playing. And it was supposed to be, like, this epic moment. Nothing at all. Not even the gunship battle music pasted from, copy and pasted from Icecrown Citadel. That would have been nice. But it is a little unfortunate. Now, to talk about the presentation really quick, they have this new system where, like, when you're doing certain quests, like, the quest giver will talk to you through, like, this dialogue box down here that'll pop up, and it'll show, like, the character's face moving. It's not very well lip-synced, but, hey, it's still pretty cool. You know, they're interacting with you directly. It's a new way. I like it. It adds, feels like you're not alone when you're doing quests. And to really talk about WoW and the social experience, it's always been on decline to me, because I feel like the more they try to make it easier, the less people are cooperating with each other to get difficult quests done. I remember doing, like, my Warlock quest way back in the day. You know, I had to constantly ask for help. I had to ask people, like, on the way, like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me find this area? And, you know, I would make some really awesome friends. And, you know, we would do more stuff together and it would be great. But now that everything's really easy, everything's soloable, well, it takes the challenge out of WoW. Also takes the tedious out, but it still takes the challenge out. I think some of the quests are, you know, it's still the same, you know, hotkey system. I mean, if you're used to it by now, like, classes are more balanced. It is generally easier, but in regards to playing with friends, WoW is, like, Warlords of Draenor, I was still a little bit bored. In Cataclysm, I wasn't bored with the quests. Here, I haven't really hated doing any particular quests. I enjoy doing it. I really, you know, when I was playing, I was, you know, there was a point where like, oh man, should I still be getting back into WoW? You know, it was like a month into, or a few weeks into the launch of Legion. I'm like, I don't know if I'm just feeling it. And then, you know, I'm gonna force myself to play this just to get the video done. When I started, when I just forced myself, pushed myself back in, I couldn't stop. I really wanted to get to 110, not just to do the video, but because I really enjoyed the game. And I'm glad I played it. I feel like I got my money's worth for sure. It's starting to dwindle a bit, but I still really enjoy this expansion overall. By the way, this new portrait thing, that's not because of Legion, that's because of my mod I'm using, God, I don't even know what it is. I'll probably be able to link it in the description when I'm done here, if I remember. But, overall, yeah, social aspect's still kind of dead, but here's the thing. I don't feel like I need to play with people to enjoy the game anymore. Which is good. Like, I'm not saying that in a way where, like, oh, I don't need people. I'm saying, like, this game is fun without friends, and it's even more fun with friends. It's not like it's tolerable with friends anymore. At least for now. Again, ask me in a couple months, when the nostalgia wears off. But until then, I'm enjoying myself for sure. Now, when you hit 110, there's a lot of things that unlock, you know, the new area, Suramar, this is a 110 exclusive area. Draenor really didn't have this. They had Tanan Jungle for the longest time. Or, sorry, they had Tanan Jungle, not even for the longest time. They had it in, like, 6.1, 6.2. I forget which one. But we didn't really have a lot of areas to go to. There was, like, small pockets of level 100 areas. You know, there was world bosses. But we didn't have, like, a full content area to do. And they've added more than just, you know, raids. There's a lot of raids to start out with. There's a healthy amount. We'll cover this later, maybe. But when you hit, as of right now, after the Emerald Dream update, which, by the way, adds all those Emerald Nightmare bosses from Vanilla, like Emrys and Lethon, which is really cool. It's like a 4-boss raid for one of these things. Anyway, so these are all the dungeons currently available. Pretty healthy amount with the, well, this is after the, you know, the update. But, you know, a month after, you know, its release, it's actually pretty good. Then these are all the raids. Again, pretty healthy. Way healthier than Draenor was, I can tell you that. What, Draenor only had like 4, 5 raids? I think 4. Not counting, Slagworks and, the Iron Crucible, whatever the hell it was called. This area. Blackrock Foundry, yeah. Hear that music, boys. But yeah, one of the few complaints I have, though, is just, again, it is pretty easy. It's not like it's going to be as hard as it was in, you know, Vanilla, Burning Crusade, or Wrath, even, which wasn't that hard, but, you know, there were some dungeons and some raids, you know, they did hold their difficulty for the longest time. I think if you've taken a long break since Cataclysm, it's probably worth going back to now. But if you didn't like it at all in Draenor, well, I didn't like it at all in Draenor. I still came back to it. I think if you didn't play much of Draenor, or Pandaria, like in the last 4 years, kind of played it off and off, like, oh, let's give it another shot. Let's see what it's like, and you didn't like it, maybe give it one more try. But if you really need friends for it, well, better find some new people. But it is harder, I think, to find people to play with. But you do have, you know, better cross-platform, cross-realm play, so I think that's really important here because, you know, you have friends that you might have played Heroes of the Storm with, or Overwatch, or StarCraft, or Hearthstone, or Diablo, and they're like, hey, I played World of Warcraft too. Like, are you on the same realm? Like, no. Like, oh. But, like, hey, now you can actually play with those people. I don't think there's any restrictions. You can even have them join your guild. It's a little weird. I don't want to say it's like a battle group where it can only be a certain people on a certain set of servers. I think it's literally, it's like complete cross-realm. Although there are certain groups of servers, like they combine them, so like you'll see people on, let's see the chat here. Medivh, yeah, that was one we combined with. I'm on Exodar, Alira, I don't know what that is. Whisperwind, I believe. That was a thing since Pandaria. But, yeah, God, this is actually kind of gorgeous, like seeing this nice fog effect in the distance. I say it's just trees and mountains, but it's the they really got They really did the verticality of the levels correctly here, because a lot of the time in WoW, you would kind of just, you know, you try to go to an area, except for High Mountain. This place can kind of suck sometimes, but in High Mountain, or, you know, some of the other areas, you would just be, like, walking around, and, like, it would just be pretty easy to get to areas, because in a lot of WoW, it's like, okay, I'll just go to that area. Like, I can climb that mountain, right? And you try to climb this mountain, and it looks like you can almost get above it, and turns out you get stuck, and you actually have to go all the way around. It's a pain in the ass. They've also added, like, a lot of things for professions. It's completely overhauled now. But, and, like, you know, they've... Just the levels just design... I'm sorry, I'm jumping around here. The level design... Okay, I can't contain my excitement. They really did make WoW great again, guys. But the overall design of the areas, the levels, if you want to call them that, pretty good. I feel like I can get around to areas without getting blocked out by, you know, BS. Like, you know, terrible mob placements. It's all pretty well done here. But I think what's really well done is, again, the professions. You can actually get, like, a legendary, or an artifact fishing pole that you can level up, and you can get stuff like being able to fish faster, being able to walk on water. If you go into the water, you can actually get a swim. You can actually turn into, like a sea creature and actually swim faster, like a druid buff, which is awesome. Like, they've made things like fishing really interesting. And fishing is one of the most boring things in WoW. I mean, yeah, it has some great rewards, but good lord, for the longest time it was boring. And there's actually a social thing going on where, like, you'd have groups of people and they would fish in certain areas in order to fish up these certain items. And there's these items that they can get, which will allow that increase their efficiency of searching that item. And what it does, it's like an area buff, so it'll apply to other people. So what you do is, like, one person throws that on, you know, buffs everyone else, and then they fish, and then when that's expired by then, some other person has picked up, like, that same buff item. So they, you know, they do that, they fish more items, and it's like this chain, right? And that's really cool, because it gets you, like, you know, sitting next to people and talking to them, probably better than ever before. Like, people in one place talking about stuff. Because what are you gonna do? Just fish? Like, no, you're gonna talk like, hey man, what's up? How's your day been? It's more social that way. They took something like fishing and made it interesting, like actual real fishing, the social aspect of it, just talking to people, sitting around and chilling out. And, you know, professions in general are pretty. I mean, yeah, they did mess up with oh god, what's it called? I don't know. The rune system. The ones where you can... Holy crap. Oh, there's what I was talking about. I cannot remember, oh my god. It was Inscription, sorry, Jesus. But, well, my guy's fighting that over there. So you can level up ways you mine certain things, or skin, or whatever, and you'll have a higher chance of getting those minerals. And you can also get recipes to find, like, more stuff on, like, you know, from... Like, for skinning, for example. Why do I keep closing this? Jesus. This is a horrible video. Jesus. Okay. It's, skinning skills, right here. So, I believe I got this. I found this from, like, a recipe, so I can actually get oddly shaped stomach, pieces while skinning, like, you know, these beast creatures. And leveling up is actually pretty fast now. So Unbroken Claw, Unbroken Tooth, Legion Gutting, that's, you know, stuff I learned from, like, recipes or, like, from trainers. But this is something I can scale, so I can get more leather. And I like that system. I like it a lot. It cuts down on the amount of time you have to do to get all these materials. You might say, well, that'll drop auction house prices. It actually hasn't. People are still going to find a way to be lazy if they can, you know, use all their gold to buy it. I mean, you can buy gold now in the game. Or you can just buy game time with gold. They've really made a lot of tweaks in the game since Cataclysm. Cataclysm, I felt, had this amazing groundwork, but it made the game a little bit too casual. And it did hurt the game for Pandaria and Wrath in a way, making it very easy, especially with looking for Ray from Pandaria. But I think Legion, they're finally catching their stride, and they're finally building on that groundwork that they made over 4 years ago. And they've turned it into a really great game, if not a really good expansion to a game that, to many people, has been dead for years. But I think WoW has still a few more years left in it. They just have to keep making good content. Like, that's all they really need to do. you know, people say, you know, you need to invent the wheel for WoW. It's going to get stale. It's going to die. That might be true in the future, but look at other MMOs. Some MMOs have been around longer than WoW, and they still have great player bases. Not as big as WoW's, but they've been lasting. But I am hopeful for this game. I really want it to be great. It's kind of funny. You know, I played WoW back in 2007. I'm still playing it now. I could barely run it back in the day, and now I can run it no problem. Although it still has optimization issues. Some things never change. Anyway, guys, I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. I'm out.